Let's get into this luxurious condo, filled with awards and this neato weeb sword. This guy's obviously well versed in the art of fisticuffs thanks to the Yakuza-esque tattoo. Then he puts on some clothes and marches forward to this woman.
아빠가 청담도 갤러리다 못 주시겠대?
This dude is Jang Pan-soo, and he says farewell to the girl. Downstairs, an entourage of men greet him with respect. Then they escort him to work. Once he gets to work, he initiates his Sigma male negotiation. After that, one of his lowly lackeys say they emptied the mall that he wanted.
네가 애들 데리고 정원동 가서 확실히 처리해.
But there's a construction business still holding out there, so he does the appropriate thing and gets more lackeys to get rid of the carpenters. Speaking of carpenters, here they are now.
김종기 씨.
They're about to get bodied, cause the boys are back in town. Pan-soo leads a group of men to Mr. Kim Jong-gi, and he's visibly peeing his pants. Pan-soo just wants a signature on this contract.
둘.
And to really persuade him, he uses a buzzsaw. Well, Mr. Kim signed, and it's all peaches and cream from there. Suddenly, Boss Yang waltzes into Pan-soo's dinner time, and he wants some of his business because he feels entitled to it.
네 얼굴을 누가 감당해? 어휴, 못해.
Well, Pan-soo just says no can-do'sville, baby doll, smugly, and Boss Yang, of course, gets annoyed from it. Apparently, he's his former lackey, so he tells Boss Yang to take a hike. The next day comes, and Pan-soo's here discussing with some old coot about the hostile business takeover of Chengdo Precision. Pan-soo's reporting that the takeover's going well, but the old man tells him to be careful thanks to his mafia lifestyle. Let's head on over to Hope Diner, where Pan-soo's ordering some local-style cuisine. The woman running this whole shindig approaches him, and she comments that he looks a bit overdressed for some ramen.
내가 난중에
Apparently, this woman is the new owner of this joint. She then greets Kim Dong-hyun, the geekwad of this entire movie.
잃어버려가지고.
Pan-soo over here finishes that mackerel ramen pretty fast and offers to pay up. Suddenly, Dong-hyun gets a call and he has to be somewhere, but he forgot his wallet. It's okay though, cause the woman says Pan-soo will pay for it. Now he has to pay for 6 bowls of ramen, and he leaves in a nice jag. Somewhere nearby, some kids are going on a rooftop. Then this one kid tries to reach for his shoe that's stuck in the antenna. Spoiler alert, he doesn't get it and drops straight into Pan-soo. Later on, Pan-soo wakes up in the hospital, and one of the nurses comes in and calls him a kid.
학생
Yeah, he's not getting that, so he wanders around the hospital, and people still call him Kid. Suddenly, he sees his body lying somewhere else. He gets shocked by that discovery, and the doc and nurses tell him to get back into bed. Suddenly, Mr. Jong-gi pops up, and he's relieved that his son is awake. He's in the body of Dong-hyun. Alright, to avoid confusion, we're still gonna call them by their real names, not their bodies' names. The doctor diagnoses that it might be retrograde amnesia. He just can't get used to the fact that his voice changed. He has a baldy over here as a father. He can't see very well without glasses, and the fact that he's got the body of a common American. Pan-soo remembers the whole scenario from the ramen shop.
그리고
So he rushes over there, but he sees it's going out of business and it's being deconstructed. The news reports on this, and Boss Yang gets wind of that glorious news. Pan-soo gets to his luxurious apartment. Then he sees his wife crying over some jewelry.
이거 얼마나 아끼는 건데.
He tries to convince her that it's really him. Of course, nobody's believing this, so his wife gets that weeb sword from earlier and threatens to judgment cut him up. Too late though, cause Han Sa-yeon already called security, and they held Pan-soo down. He gets arrested but off with a warning cause he's a minor. Back at the hospital, the furious Pan-soo tries to get his body back by repeatedly body slamming it like it's WWE. He gets caught by one of his own boys.
너이 돼지 새끼 너 한 번만 더 내 눈에 띄면은
And he threatens to beat up Pan-soo if he big show body slams his boss again. Well, it's back to Pan-soo's apartment. His new dad is cooking up a feast, and he regards that it's only half of what he normally eats. He takes a bite and then blacks out. When he gets back up, all the food is back in his rumbly tummy. It's time for bed, so he goes to his new room and takes the load off for the night. The next day, the father and fat son combo go to the school's vice principal's office.
반갑소. 나 참.
The men then discuss the incident of Pan-soo's accident. His father implies that someone bullied him, but Pan-soo insisting that he'll go back to school instead. So class is in session, and he's awkwardly introduced back into class. Jae-ik here has to share his book with Pan-soo, but he just makes him buzz off. The other boys flip him off, and what do you know? It's already lunchtime. He sees that bullying is a rampant problem here. Maybe it could be solved by using that American method. These hoodlums are bullying this girl. Pan-soo vocally tells him to stop.
조용히 좀 해라. 밥 좀 먹게.
One of the reprobates approach him, threatens him, but someone snitched. So let's finish this after class. Looks like he has cojones, cause he shows up after school. He orders Pan-soo to be his delivery kid, but instead he smacks the absolute stuffing out of him instead. Jae-ik sees this, so he gets interrogated the very next day. They threaten to beat him up, and they even attempt to strip him. Luckily, Pan-soo was there to use Jae-ik as a bowling ball to score him a strike. He nabs one of the mongrels' phone. He nabs one of the dude's phones and says he's gonna return it the following day. The night arrives at our boy's new place, and he takes a look at the phone, and there's the incriminating evidence. A video of the accident when the real Dong-hyun was bullied into getting that bullied girl's shoe off of an antenna. Of course you know what happens next, so let's skip to the next day, where the bullies are actually underlings of this bigger guy. He beats up his underlings due to Pan-soo getting one of their phones, and lo and behold, here he is now. He walks up to that bully and proudly says he made a copy of the video.
카피는 떠났다. 보험으로.
Don't worry, he's not a snitch, so he's not going to the cops. He just fixes his tie and kindly tells him to stay out of his sight. He walks off in silent victory with Jae-ik. Somewhere else, it looks like Sa-yeon is committing a bit of NTR until Boss Yang pulls up with his boys and corners her. The boss happily greets them both, much to their displeasure. And he's here to essentially blackmail him because of Sa-yeon's infidelity. During this time into the night, Pan-soo sneaks back to the hospital to take a look at his real body, but his bodyguard, Bang Man-chol, is still there. He gives him a little damage, then tells him a plethora of info to try and prove to Man-chol that he is the real Pan-soo. He talks about specific dates, information, and incidents. Then as always, he fixes his tie. They go for a bite and Man-chol touches his face, revealing his fearsome eyes. So he apologizes because now he can see it's the real Pan-soo. Pan-soo's then curious about why his body's being guarded 24/7. So Man-chol spills that Boss Yang is going after Pan-soo's real body. He promises him that he's going to find a way to go back into his real body, one way or another. The very next day, some young women flock over in the halls at school for this beautiful boy. But Hyun-jung here can't get a pass. The student council dude lets her pass, but she gets bullied on the way. Time skip to after school, and Pan-soo is talking to Man-chol about leaving school and his new home.
바로 나오시게요?
Because he already knows what happened to the boy, so he's asking Man-chol for a new place to stay. Suddenly, Hyun-jung runs past him, bumping and leaving the stuffed toy behind. He chases after her and returns the toy, but then encounters her mom. Is it MILF fever? Maybe Mi-sun here might be a girl from his past. Of course, she sees him as Dong-hyun and thinks he grew bigger. He accidentally calls her by her first name.
미선이?
And that's a big no-no, so he gets chased off by a bunch of small slaps. Nightfall arrives, and he has a flashback of his younger days, when she was his high school sweetheart. The next day, he grabs one of Hyun-jung's hair for some reason, but it's revealed later that he used it for a paternity test. The result, Hyun-jung is 99% Pan-soo's daughter. He couldn't believe his eyes. The next day comes and he's still uneasy about that fact. But then Hyun-jung gets bullied over missing lip stain. So Pan-soo tries to stand up for his daughter and shift blames to himself.
이 새끼가 이게.
He claims that he stole it and threw it away because it really wasn't his color. He gets branded a pervert, and then class starts. Well, class is boring, so it's over. And let's go to this meeting between Pan-soo and Man-chol. He orders the bully's bones to be broken, but that's also a no-no because they're minors. Pan-soo doesn't have a choice but to approach Mi-sun instead for help, since the teachers are also useless. Mi-sun breaks down and wishes the absent father would rot in the inferno. So Pan-soo comes up with the idea of trying to talk to the other kids instead.
어떻게 해야 되니?
In someplace else, Sa-yeon suddenly tells the old coot from before that Pan-soo is embezzling 3 million won. Let's go back to Pan-soo, where he's asking fatherly advice from Man-chol, who is single by the way. He says physical contact would be the best method. Then he gives Pan-Soo some workout advice.
먼저 가실 것 같습니다.
At the local gym, Hyung-jun's greeted by the surprise of Pan-Soo working out and trying to lose weight. Seeing all this, now she wants to leave, but Man-chol poses as a dojo master and stops her in her tracks.
오늘부터 너희를 가르칠.
It's time for a little training montage. Fitness, weights, cardio, grappling, then finally boxing. All that jazz in this montage. It ends with several running sessions. Then some eye candy for the ladies. Let's head to school and cue slow-mo. Everyone's in total disarray of how Pan-Soo's looking now. School's boring, so we're gonna skip to that part where Pan-Soo makes an excuse to hang out with Hyung-jung. He's left to wait, so he takes a look at Mi-sun and Hyung-jung's family pictures. He takes a photo of baby Hyung-jung, then he gets quite disappointed that he abandoned his high school honey. At a local factory, Jung-gi earns quite the pleasant sum of buckaroos, and he's pretty pleased with himself, until these dudes in a suit corner him and beat him to a pulp. Pan-Soo steps in and tells the goons to flock off somewhere else.
어이, 덩어리들.
So Rumble's about to start. This is gonna be so epic. Oh, no, Jung-gi just had to be a killjoy and take all the blows. The goons kick him stiff, and they leave their calling card. Good stuff. Now they can trace to where you Muppets came from.
8천만 원 준비해서 전화해.
So there goes Man-chol alone and begins dominating every lackey from Evergreen. He beats them stiff till they learn how to heal and sit like Makima worshippers. Man-chol then has them erase Jung-gi's debt. Back at the Kim residence, Pan-Soo's cooking Jung-gi a nice meal, and he seems to be recovering from his injuries. He suddenly gets word that his debts have been wiped. At school, just when Pan-Soo's looking for his daughter, she gets bullied yet again. Well, she can't take it anymore, so she finally gives them a well-deserved light beating. I say she should have promoted them to a wheelchair permanently, but this works as well. After school, Mi-sun treats Pan-Soo for helping Hyung-jung with her bullying problem. She gives him a special dish, and it's absolutely Gordon Ramsay worthy, but she doesn't want to put it on the menu because it reminds her of Hyung-jung's father. Of course, Pan-Soo wants to talk about Hyung-jung's father, but she just wants him dead. Suddenly, this drunken dog comes in wanting more to drink.
여기 술주야.
Mi-sun gives him a bottle, but he gets offensively touchy. So Pan-Soo steps in. They start a fight, and Mi-sun gets damaged. It's time to crush their skulls, and Mi-sun stops him. Aw, boo! Mi-sun kinda catches on that Dong-hyung feels like a different person, so he tries to reveal the truth that he switched bodies. Mi-sun understandably doesn't believe it.
이제 내가 물을 차례야.
But Pan-Soo begins to divulge more and more intimate information, and now Mi-sun begins to believe it. So Pan-Soo gets a taste of wrath from the past from her. Ultimately, it just leads them to being scolded for being absent for their child and getting kicked out of the restaurant. Quick flashback time. Here we see a much younger Mi-sun and Pan-Soo. She's saying she can't live with a criminal,
이사까지 갔더라.
and Pan-Soo agrees. Heck, he's even getting an arranged marriage to his boss's daughter the following month. Mi-sun is utterly crushed by this. Man, it's harsh. A new day arrives, and Hyung-jun's asking Pan-Soo why her mother told her to stay away from him. He just says that he made some vague mistakes. Suddenly, the pretty boy from the student council tries to invite Hyung-jung to his birthday party. She's in quite the shock, and the pretty boy takes that reaction as a yes, and he leaves. Soon Pan-Soo also leaves. The day of the party's here, so Hyung-jung arrives at the villa, where she's greeted by the pretty boy, and apparently some of the local bullies are there too. Jae-ik is there, still being a slave. Meanwhile, Pan-Soo actually gets to call Mi-sun out to the cafe.
뭐 할래?
He apologizes for his mistakes, but she's thinking that if the body switch thing didn't happen, he wouldn't even be here. She storms off, but he suddenly gets a call from Jae-ik. He says that Hyung-jung might be in trouble. He gets in the car with Jae-ik and speeds up to the party. Hyung-jung is still at the party and being peer pressured into drinking, but of course she doesn't feel it.
다 됐어?
The pretty boy's true colors are revealed, and he pours that alcohol on Hyung-jung's head. Pan-Soo beats the guards and storms in. He tries to get Hyung-jung out of there peacefully. Sadly, they won't let him. Of course, the real party begins now, while Pan-Soo beats the living kimchi out of them one by one. The pretty boy then gets bodied by Hyung-jung as well. This party's a bust though, so they get out. The next day, something fishy comes up with Pan-Su's real body.
회장의 명령이십니다.
He figures it out. Pan-Su thinks of what he's gonna do next. So Manchul goes to town with some dudes and gives the old coot from before a letter. Going back to Pan-Su, trying to make his appeals to Mi-sun. But it's a total failure and he leaves. Suddenly, one of the bullies from before approach him and is actually here to apologize to him and Hyungjung. Pan-Su dispels the rumors of him and Hyungjung dating, but this girl looks interested.
자,
Too bad because he rejects her. Regardless, Yoon-ji gives him a gift in an attempt to display affection. She leaves, then Hyungjung shows up to ask him out. Hyungjung then tells her mom, but she tells it like Pan-Su asked her out. Of course, Mi-sun gets outraged with the display of Sweet Home Alabama.
안 돼, 절대 안 돼!
And the following day after school, Pan-Su gets reeled away. He gets grabbed by Mi-sun and she confronts him about the questionable offer he supposedly made to Hyungjung. He clears it up as a misunderstanding, but Mi-sun still doesn't want him in their lives. And then Hyungjung overhears all of this insanity. She, of course, is disgusted, leaving Pan-Su to be scolded and bodied by Mi-sun yet again. Let's go back to the hospital, where Boss Yan starts his hostile takeover and goes to Pan-Su's real body. He's here to end his miserable life, but he suddenly wakes up
남대문 열렸어.
and startles Boss Yang, making him hit his head on the floor. At the Kim residence, Dong-hyun invades the house in Pan-Su's body. He's still really new to this body switching thing, and then Pan-Su shows up. The jig's up, but Dong-hyun won't shut up, so Pan-Su makes him. After that quick jab, Pan-Su explains everything. Jong-gi, of course, has a hard time swallowing that pill, but then Dong-hyun tells him private information only he would know, and Jong-gi begins to warm up slowly. So here's the deal. If Dong-hyun helps Pan-Su get back into each other's bodies, then he'll help Dong-hyun date Hyungjung. And while this is going on, another day comes, and here at Mi-sun's ramen shop, the two boys show up and try to lie to Mi-sun that they both got their appropriate bodies back, just as Dong-hyun was apologizing in Pan-Su's stead.
정말 미안해.
Boss Yang and his goons arrive on the scene. After their intimidation, Dong-hyun immediately gives away about their little lie, so he and Mi-sun hide in the kitchen, while Pan-Su tries to face all of the goons by himself. The goons make their move, but our man's quick to defend that kitchen no matter what. The men then swing at him with their bats, but he's too good of a fighter and beats them all at once. That's until Mr. Guak steps in and throws him off. Pan-Su leads this dance, but it doesn't take too long for Mr. Guak to fight back. So Pan-Su's left at knife point. A quick pull at the tie, and he gets Mr. Guak off. Too bad Boss Yang interferes, and once again the switchblade's staring at him. Mi-sun suddenly comes in with a big gas tank, opens it up, and threatens to blow everyone in the building to kingdom come. Then she goes on a rant about her relationship with Pan-Su, but Boss Yang and his boss don't really understand a word of it.
내가 현정이를 왜 낳았는데?
Pan-Su throws Boss Yang off balance, and they leave at the mercy of Mi-sun threatening to turn that place into that Michael Bay film set. She's left dizzy by the gas, and then Dong-hyun comes out of the shower frantically. She gets sentimental and talks to Dong-hyun as if Pan-Su was back in his real body. She hugs Dong-hyun as a sign that she's beginning to forgive Pan-Su. And the story's not over. The old man from before confronts Seo-hyun about the letter. It basically marks her as a traitor. Dong-hyun is sent, since Pan-Su can't really attend at his current state. They radio him on what to say to this old chairman. That's actually Seo-hyun's father, and he says he's banishing her to the Shadow Realm to steal their own fortune.
이 말이 사실인가?
One last problem. Seo-hyun snitches that Pan-Su had an affair, and even has a child. There's radio interference. So Dong-hyun is left to explain things on his own. They all leave, and at first, the real Pan-Su is furious, but he eventually thanks Dong-hyun for being such a stand-up guy. This victory is cut short by Seo-hyun trying to run him over. Suddenly, at the hospital, Pan-Su admits to Hyungjung that he is her father. She faints, and so does Dong-hyun. Suddenly, one of the surgeons turns out to be the mythical ramen server from before. An operation starts, and let's skip that. Dong-hyun is back in his real body and is obviously confused about his newly found popularity. Boss Yang's arrested, and it looks like Mi-sun and Pan-Su are enjoying a much bigger restaurant, along with Jung-gi helping them. And with that, the rest is history. Square up, cause that was it for the Dude and Me. What'd you guys think about this Silver Chariot Requiem movie? You let us know in the comments below with that hashtag cinema recap. This was The Dude in Me by The Contents On, starring Jung Jin Young, Park Sung Woong, and Ra Mi Ran. Until that next body switch, farewell.